پسر خوبی جواب بده پسر خوبی یا نه
بله
دروغ نگو تو پسر خوب هستی
بله
یه دفعه دیگه ازت میپرسم راستشو بگو تو پسر خوب هستی میتونم چشماتو از حدقه در بیارم بدن سگو بخورم
What's going on, everyone? I'm Heath.
And I'm Jay.
You're listening to Host of Horrors, show where we discuss and review horror films based off of predetermined themes of the month. Jay, you don't feel good.
I am not at 100% of my power, so I'm just gonna make it through. Sinus attacks are a bitch. And luckily, I had a negative COVID result twice-fold, so we're good to go, at least on that note.
Yeah, it's probably just Louisiana. I mean, literally, we were wearing shorts last week.
Yeah,
and now it's freezing.
It's freezing, and it's probably going to be sunny as all get out tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I'm going to feel probably more like crap.
Yeah, no, because I think it literally was like Monday was warm, and then Tuesday a cold front hit.
And I started feeling like this like Thursday.
So
like, it just has not been the best.
Yuck.
So like, I'm going to be straining a little bit, and I'm sorry for the audio. I'm sorry for the audio because of that, so forgive me in advance for being sick. How dare I get sick for things I can't control?
Yeah, how dare you, man? Come on. Where's your professionalism?
I am weak. I am not like one of these professional people who can be sick and give it their all just to like pass out right after. I can't do it. I am not one of those girls. So you're just gonna have to deal with me at 50%, and hopefully the audience likes it.
Well, I'm still at 100, so that's what matters. Good, moving on.
So the movie that we just watched is probably so far one of the most Okay, I don't know whether to say experimental or just like art housey.
I wouldn't say it's experimental because there's nothing new that I saw, but God, it is very art housey.
Okay,
it's a good way to start out this month. Like,
it's a very good month.
Like,
so,
Anna Lily Amirpour, the director of this film, fucking killed it. She's the writer and director.
So this is a indie darling that you pointed out. This is the indie film that was partially, I think, crowdfunded through Indiegogo, and it premiered on Sundance in I think 2014. And I don't know if it won any awards or anything.
It should have.
But it just says, according to everything, it was chosen to show in the next program in 2014 Sundance Film Festival, and I'm a sucker for Sundance-related things. I'm wearing my Sundance 2020 Kenneth Cole jacket right now because I feel cold. I think I got the chills. But this was definitely a Sundance film. Like, this is something that if you're trying to go for like an indie festival film, ticks all the boxes.
Oh, yeah.
And more.
It's really good, too. Really, really good. So this month, we are doing a brand new theme in honor of Women's History Month.
Yay, it's Women's History Month!
Every horror movie that we are doing this month will be directed by a woman. I mean, we have a wonderful lineup that I think I had my fiance help me out with these movies. So hopefully we did a good job picking.
I think that it's a really good set of, as you can say, films that really, I guess, it kind of like gives us like what a woman's perspective on horror would be as compared to a men's perspective, because horror in itself has become so much more massive as a genre that it's become from just being a niche aspect of goth culture to just being just as mainstream as everything else from like the 70s on. So you have a good crap ton of horror fans that are women or film presenting, and I feel like they have a lot to bring to the table just as much as men do. So we're going to be talking about 2014's A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. Okay, it took me a lot to try to say that without cracking up because it's such a long title. It reminds me of light novels from like this current era where everything is like an extremely long and sometimes unnecessary, title. But I think this title of the film, I think, translates nicely from its original Persian language, and it kind of tells you about what's going on without really revealing too much. Like, a lot of the plot is literally just a girl walking home alone at night. I came in with no expectations, but the little expectations I had were like blown away. But I'm also kind of a sucker for films like these because I like Sundance and I like those kind of indie films that really just kind of do whatever they want. And from the beginning, from the very first frame, it was giving indie art house. Honestly, I will liken it to something that could have come from the French New Wave of that era of filmmaking in the 60s and 70s, where honestly the French just didn't give a shit about like Hollywood and what cinema was. They took their own narrative on what cinema was and just did whatever they wanted with it. And it kind of gives like Jean-Luc Godard. I'm sorry for butchering that name, but it kind of reminds me of one of those films. And in the way it looks, the presentation of the film works extremely well in it's black and white, and it kind of reminds me of also a mix of French New Wave and kind of classic Hollywood in a way, but in just the way that the lighting around everything just gives just very classic old horror, if that makes sense.
Well, that's what I got was early 30s black and white Hollywood films because of mainly the sound design. I love the sound design in this film, and it's weird. I kind of got spaghetti western from it, but it didn't really come off until you mentioned on the Wikipedia that it is classified as a spaghetti western. But only from the sound design, like from like the loud bombastic music that does come in, juxtaposition to the quiet moments where like every little footstep echoes and it's over exaggerated every little step that they make. It's really cool. There's a really tense scene in the beginning where the drug dealer shows up to collect his money, and all you hear is the buzzing of the lights in the background, and that's it. Like there's this tense conversation going on, but all you hear in the background is just a constant bzzz, and it kind of gets under your skin just a little bit.
And speaking of those characters, like all of the characters feel neatly put together, and I don't think any of them were wasted. Once again, it just feels like so far over the past month that movies with like smaller bit of characters but very important characters to the plot and to everything surrounding the film, it feels like there's once again no character wasted.
Yeah,
it's like every character served its purpose and were like gone when they needed to be gone from the rest of the film. And there's at times where you kind of just get lost in the world of the film, because it takes place in Iran, And
in the fictional city of Bad City.
It's just, you can get lost in this world based off how the camera work is done, because it kind of shows you like day by day, like going just with the much of the oil rigs that are going on, the pollution, the overall drab air like feel of the area, including that one area.
Oh, yeah. With like the ditch with all the dead bodies.
Yeah.
They're just, it's normal. It's a normal thing. I did want to bring up with the constant showing of the oil and the pollution and all that. It's basically showing, in my opinion, it's kind of like a visual representation of the surrounding area being drained of its life, and you can kind of see that with the inhabitants that live there, that all of them, how well intent they start, they always get dragged down because they stay in this city. So it's almost like their environment is more of a vampire than our actual protagonist is.
And you kind of get lost with who the real protagonist is until maybe like the second act.
Well, I mean, there's two protagonists. This is very much a romance, like coming of age rom-com kind of setup. I mean, no com whatsoever, but it's boy meets girl, they fall in love. I mean, it's basically like if Perks of Being a Wallflower was like Emma Watson was a vampire. That's what this movie is.
That is such an interesting comparison.
But that's what this is. It's a romance film. It's a coming of age romance film. Just sprinkle a little horror in there.
Yeah, like
a little bit of death every now and then.
It's like the horror aspects of it is used as a backdrop, is used as just a little lagniappe, as we like to say in Louisiana. And you can tell that the core of the film isn't necessarily horror, but it takes certain elements from horror and just it gives it just a different kind of feel. But it's like a weirdly romantic, kind of like almost Twilight-esque in a way, except without all the weird shit.
Well,
it does either that, or it just kind of gives me just a very unconventional romance. It's like this. I'm not gonna say it's like a teenager's version of what something like this is happening, but it doesn't really mince any words about a lot of the messages that are coming through.
It doesn't give romance until well within halfway through the movie. Like, it does not. There's no romantic tension whatsoever. You follow the girl. She doesn't have a name. She's not given a character name. You follow the girl and Arash. Arash. You follow those two. That's it. You follow her at night, him during the day. Sometimes he's at night or out at night, whatever. Basically, Arash has a father who is addicted, and he cannot pay the money that his father owes. For said drugs, and his vehicle, his car that he worked so long and so hard to get the money to pay for, is taken for collateral by douchebag dickwad. Is all I'm going to call him. I hate douchebag dickwad.
I don't think they ever really gave him a name, but I think according to IMDb, his name is Saeed.
Saeed? It's
But
douchebag dickwad.
So that's kind of how that part starts. So you spend much of the early part of the film following Arash as he tries to. It's like he's working so hard to get under his father's shadow.
Well, no, it's almost like his father is like the child. Like, he has to take care of his father. That's why at the end of the movie where he kicks him out, you're kind of like, I mean, yeah, he deserves it. Feel bad, but yeah, he kind of deserves it.
This film has a way of making characters seem so either likable or unlikable. But Arash comes off as morally gray, but he comes off as like, he just got to do what he has to do. And I think I like that because I think we've just been kind of dealing with very you're fighting one thing against the other. Everything has been so bombastic, and to have such a quiet film, comparatively speaking, it sometimes comes off as like a wallflower.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it feels voyeuristic. So this film kind of feels voyeuristic until you get to halfway towards the film. I don't know.
This whole there is no like what you were saying with every other film that we've done so far. It's so bombastic. It's so good versus evil. So black and white. This film,
which is literally
black and white, has a lot more nuance to it. There is no, other than douchebag dickwad, there is no villain. There is no hero. It's just these characters living in this shitty existence.
I think the culture, which is surrounds everything, is the true antagonist, because everybody's trying to either leave or trying to ignore it in a way, or just they were just a part of it. The film itself, after thinking about it some and kind of reading up on the synopsis and some of reviews of it while we were prepping, it gives kind of like a light feminist vibe to it. But when you think about, the girl who's a vampire and how she kind of really reveals and uses that power she has against men who are being complete dicks or who are treating specific women wrong. And women, and I feel like women in general, but specific women.
Not necessarily, though. I mean, there is the dad. She does that with him, and then there is douchebag dickwad, but then there's that helpless homeless guy.
And
so, technically she does that a few times, to help, those in need, but I also feel like
she's a vampire. She's a vampire, so she needs blood sustenance. So I think it really just depends. It's it just happens to come off that way sometimes. To me,
with Ait or Ati, what's her name? Ati.
Mm-hmm.
With her, yes, it definitely gives off that. She did that to protect her. With douchebag dickwad, I feel like she just knew he was douchebag dickwad.
But we did also see have an appearance from her that Saeed and Ati was near whenever Ati and Saeed were doing things while Ati was trying to get her money, and I'm like, girl, get your money. But
yeah, because he was cutting her off and basically forced her to do things and still didn't give her her cut of the money.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking asshole.
And I think that was one of the first instances of seeing the I'm gonna call it feminist light, because it's it's not over the head about it, but it's it kind of I feel like that's a better term for it than calling it just feminist vibes.
Well, I'm just gonna leave that out of it and just say this is a vampire, of course.
Yeah.
So she's probably been around for hundreds of years and knows the underbelly of society at large. So when she sees something like that, she knows that fuck that dude. And she even mentions I've followed you to Ati. I followed you. I know you're sad. I know you've been saving your money to get out of here. So I think it's more she was just cutting that chain. She's trying to cut the chains that bond her to the city.
Honestly, shoot, I think throughout the events of this film, with the people being connected through the girl, that she was kind of the broken chain, or the catalyst for the broken chain, because a lot of the reasons why a lot of the reasons why characters are starting to think differently is because of actions she done.
Well, you don't even think anyone thinks differently. We have no idea what happens to Ati. We have no idea what happens to the little orphan kid, the little homeless kid.
Yeah.
We only know what happens to the girl and Arash.
But you know what though? Speaking of the little orphan kid, for a second I was like, why is she targeting old boy?
She's trying to make sure he doesn't turn out like old dickbag douchewad.
I think that's probably why.
Because like Kid on the Street, I mean, that's
prime
easy
ground.
pickings for, you know, a person to come along and be like planting their little bad influence on him.
Mm-hmm.
So if she scares the shit out of him for a little bit and is like, you stay a good kid, and he's like, well, I mean, shit, she did her job. I'd be fucking terrified.
Yeah, I'll be terrified too. Like, talking about scared straight.
Right?
I will be scared straight as hell. Like, man, there are just so many nuances about this, like, very... It's like it feels like actions speak louder than words is one of the things I'm getting from this movie.
Yes, no, because just like the music and the music and the dialogue both are used when necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Most of this film is carried through quiet, somber moments and visual. And buddy,
and
this movie is gorgeous.
Oh yeah, like black and white. I think the absence of color, it not only adds on to the feeling of despair, the feeling of drabness that everyone feels. There was a way that Amapur made this film feel beautiful in its imperfections. And it kind of feels like, because everyone, of course, is Iranian, but is like they're from Iran. They're Iranian, but a lot of these actors are American born or have their origins outside of Iran, but still have that connection to Iran. That there's a lot of just different nuances that I feel like brings this film to a higher level because of the connection to Iran that everyone has. And it feels like, even though everyone's outside, like everyone's mostly like from outside of Iran, it just it feels like they live and bleed Iran. It's like they know this area like the back of their hand. Like, there's probably stories that multitudes of their families have told about how this place is. Because I want to say that it's shot in the Tehran, the capital. And, you know, this being the Middle East, there's only so much that can be done.
Mm-hmm.
And so much around you that's all of just the war, famine, just a lot of shit.
Well, there's a couple of moments where I know it wasn't set dressing, but there's a couple of moments where, like, you see walls and stuff that have clear bullet holes in it.
Mm-hmm. And that just adds on to just the despair you feel. You feel like like I said, it's voyeuristic. It feels like you are just a bystander, just watching all of this happen sometimes. And I like the little bit of like Western influence that this film just kind of like puts together in the form of whenever we see the girl in her room with all of the different kinds of like posters from like the 1970s, 1980s, like Madonna, Lionel Richie, Prince. Just, you can tell how like there's a lot of outside influence in the way that she interacts with people that adds on to her foreigner, her alien vibes. Even, you know, she's literally a fucking vampire. So like, if that's not alien, I don't know what else is.
Yeah.
Besides, you know, aliens.
Well, the Western vibes I got again were the quiet moments where the footsteps. Every footstep you clearly hear. And I love that shit. And like when the music comes in, it fucking like it almost overpowers the scene. So all you're left with is just the music and the visuals. So that's really what I got. It reminded me a lot of spaghetti westerns.
I think that like we've gotten different things out of this, but it kind of follows the same vein. But I think we picked up on a lot of different things, which I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
About how we were able to pick up different readings of stuff based off just viewing this film. One of my favorite scenes is actually, I got two favorite scenes. My favorite one of my first ones is the take where Arash That whole scene I love. From Arash just dressing up as like for Halloween as Dracula.
Okay, yeah, hang on. Context before we get into that. So douchebag dickwad dies, which I may talk about if he doesn't talk about it, because that's one of my favorite scenes.
Well, I'll let you talk about it because I think you can be able to like explain how awesome that death was and how good it felt before. Like I think our favorite scenes are different. I'm just an emotional ass bitch, so I love emotional scenes.
So, dickbag douchewad dies. Arash is there to try and get his car back. He meets Vampire Chick, and Vampire Chick's like, "Hey," he's like, "Hey," and they walk past each other. He goes in and realizes, "Oh God, dickbag douchewad is dead. Let me steal all his money." He stole all his money and his drugs. So he starts selling drugs on the side, making more money. And then that's when we get to the party. so just had to throw that in there because he now is selling drugs.
It's just, yeah. So it's kind of like, yeah, he needs to make some money because despite... Also, I think he just took the opportunity because...
Yeah, fuck it, I would.
Yeah, because it's like, there's one less person to, there's one less competition. So you took his whole stash and just like, all right, I'm going to sell this my damn self. So from this whole scene of like, Arash dressing up as Dracula, which, ooh, I love that. I love that aspect of it. And him taking the X, which
he didn't want to.
He didn't want to, but it's kind of like how you don't do your own stash. You don't. That's number one rule of drug selling. You don't do your own stash.
You don't Tony Montana yourself.
But the girls that there were some girls at the party that they were kind of flirty, wordy, and they were like, "Yeah, I heard you got some X." So he's being nice, kind of flirty, gives them X for free, and then they take it, and then one of the girls comes back, which I found. Though I think one of the girls was actually played by the director herself.
Oh, really?
So that was really cool. I think Sheeran. I think
was it the skeleton one or the other one?
I think Skeleton Girl.
Okay, Skeleton Girl makes more sense because the other one was the rich bitch from the beginning of the movie, who he was hired by. Mm-hmm. He stole her earrings and gave it to Vampire.
I love unconventional romances. So yeah, that was the director, and Rich Girl basically was all like, "You take it.
Can I have another?" And then was like, "You take it."
And you can tell, and I like that little part because from the moment that he puts the pill that looks like a heart in his mouth, and it's just like you hear just nothing but almost like a static, and it just goes to just a very just like French New Wave version of someone who's being intoxicated.
Oh, that dude was high.
And man, obviously that was his first time I feel like taking any kind of drugs like that, because
he's seen his father. He knows how his father is, so he's never wanted to take drugs.
I don't blame him. So,
but horniness kind of outweighs morality sometimes.
Yeah. So with that, he goes into this just very just surreal like instance, and he tries to kind of like, okay, adding on to the horny, I think he tries to like make out with the rich girl, and the rich girls are like, stop.
Yeah, he goes to kiss her, and she's like, what are you doing? Back off. Let's dance.
And you can just tell that, like, for a second, I thought his whole vibe was just, like, ruined. Like, that killed off a lot of his buzz immediately. I'm like, dang, you got cock-blocked by the rich girl that forced you to take the pill. Dang. And he just, like, sits there while everyone else around him is having fun, which, felt.
Yeah,
He's like, I'm not having fun tonight. Like,
dude, it happens. Sometimes you're having a good time, and then one little thing happens, and you just become that angry drunk.
Mm-hmm.
Been there, done that.
Way too many times. So it leads into the next part of the scene where it's a nice little like long take for part of it of him just walking down this random street because he's lost and looking at the looking at a lamp like a moth trying to find lamp.
I do like the juxtapositions between the settings. I hate to cut you off, but between the actual city landscape that we see, how dilapidated and worn down it is, to almost seeing like a suburb. And then you have the rich girl's house. You still see like the dunes in the background, but it's almost like this Beverly Hills Hollywood mansion in the middle of all this fucking chaos. I don't know.
It's really cool because
even
thinking
him walking and you see the suburb, it shows the disconnect, yet how close they are at the same time.
It goes into the whole thing about what kind of money she comes from, based off how her area looks as compared to the rest of the city.
Yeah,
and with the gap in so many Middle Eastern areas just being wide as the fucking ocean. So it makes a lot of sense. So I do like that juxtaposition, and it's just seeing Arash's Dracula just look at it's kind of like, I think whenever you're high or like seeing things, because he was on X, everything's pretty shiny. Everything's pretty shiny. So he was looking at that thing like a moth that was hungry for some light. And
that was because it reminded me of, like, there's a moment when I was a kid. We were in high school, and we could have, oh god, if the cops would have pulled up, we would have been fucked. But we were all stoned and drunk out of our ass.
Oh, you were crossfaded.
We were lying on the street, on my neighborhood street, with a case of beer in the middle of us, just lying on the street staring at the stars.
And here comes Vampire Girl. She's riding on the skateboard that she took from the kid, that the kid just dropped there after she scared him shitless. And it just goes... I think it's because he's he's inebriated, that he doesn't feel scared. He doesn't really feel it gives off he's different from the rest of the guys. It's kind of like that.
No, he's fucking like, she could tell he's high.
But I know that. But it's also like,
he's fucking high. Like, he doesn't know what's going on.
But it's like at any time she could have just like lunged at him and just like sucked all his blood. Like, she could have attacked him at any moment, at any given moment, and she didn't. So it was really cute because he was like, "I'm lost. Where are we?" And she says, "We're in Bad City." Which also goes to your juxtaposition, because it says it's Bad City, but like it looks nice.
Mm-hmm.
So that was even more good juxtaposition right there.
Yeah, I think what it is, the reason she doesn't attack him is because he's not doing anything. Let's say in her head, she can justify the homeless person because she's basically putting them out of their misery. I hate to say it like that, but I can see her justifying that. Douchebag dickwad was douchebag dickwad. Hazin? Hussein?
I don't want to say Hussein.
I thought it was Hazin.
But I really want to say that
Arash is...
Hussein.
Hussein? Okay. Arash's dad. I'm just going to say that. Arash's dad was being a dick to Ati. So the 3 kills that we do see in the film, you can justify them in some sort of way. If she would have killed Arash, no justification whatsoever. I think deep down, even though she's cursed, she's not a bad person. So I think that's why she didn't kill Arash.
And she's someone who has done bad things, but those bad things don't necessarily make her a bad person.
Yeah.
Those bad things are just kind of par for the course, considering, her genealogy.
Yeah,
her nature.
Yeah, and I think that's why most of her killing is, you can justify them. It's not just, killing for the sake of killing. It's, I have to kill to feed, but if I have to feed, it's going to be for, a good reason.
It makes the kills worth it.
Yeah.
So the rest of the scene plays out basically he just being just. I thought it was very, very cute, very, very LSD'd, like, and just like, I just like the fact that he's Dracula with an actual vampire, and I'm just like that. I see what y'all did there, and that thing is like. I just thought that was like kind of cute because they're obviously different, but it feels like the roles were reversed for like a couple of minutes because of the fact that neither of them knew who the other was, or he didn't know what she was, but she knew what he is, which is not Dracula. So I thought that was like cute, and then
I like the whole, hey, will you sit down with me? No, I can't sit down.
But I have to sit.
I have to sit. I can't get up right now.
You can sit at my home.
Okay.
And then
I still can't get up right now.
But like, she takes the she's you got to know she's a vampire because like she is powerful. Like she is strong. So she like just like pushes him in the cutest way possible to her place.
She's still stone faced, which I like. Like the only time she smiles in the entire movie is at the very, very end. Throughout the entire movie, she's just got this blank expression the entire time. And she's just got this stone blank expression while pushing this guy on the skateboard while he is high as a kite having the best damn time. He's just sitting there going, whee!
And this is where you start to see a lot of, I'm going to say a lot, like the first little bit of like romantic tension starts to kind of rise. But it's in the form of what I like to call long take to long take because they're just kind of chilling there. She's out. She's like doesn't have her garb on, and he's just laying down.
And she's about to put a record on.
Yes, and the record's on, and you can tell how much music influences her.
Mm-hmm.
And he slowly gets up, looking at the disco ball that's above her, and
well, she's still standing by the record.
It's just hanging from above him.
But she's just standing by the record, and he gets up and spins the little disco ball, prompting her to turn around.
Slowly, mind you. Like, and
no. He walks up to her.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. He walks up to her.
Like these like long takes where it's like it feels uncomfortably long, but you don't feel how uncomfortably long it is because you can tell that it's trying to build romantic tension in a long take form. And I like that a lot.
What I liked is you almost get this horrified, like scare to it because it builds romantic tension when she turns around and they lock eyes. But then she like grabs him by the hair, pulls his head back, and goes for his neck. And you're like, oh, bitch, no. No, don't do that.
The contemplation is there.
Don't do that, please, no. But then she stops and rests her head on his heart. And then it's just a sweet moment. And you're like, oh, y'all are cute together.
It feels like you can tell that he kind of makes her feel, human in a way. And it feels really good to see someone kind of treat her as if she's a human like everyone else instead of just this foreboding figure and that everyone else has kind of perceived her to be. And I think that's part of the whole feeling outside of yourself, feeling othered by everything else that around you, feeling different, and just having someone kind of was like treat you just the same way they'll treat anybody else. That's the really cool part about the whole scene. And you could just tell that kind of the sort of romantic aspect of it takes over in a way the rest of the film because you can tell that he's trying to pursue her kind of sort of while still
not even kind of sort of. He is.
He's trying to pursue her and he's falling for her. And
she's falling for him, but is trying
in her own little way,
trying really hard not to.
And you could just tell that like there's a little bit of determination in a way in Arash because of this newfound love, and it works. It just works,
mm-hmm.
And just the slow burn of this film just makes it just work even more so. It works a lot to its advantage.
Yeah, because everything before this point was very horror-esque, especially even with the vampire. There's a lot of moments, a lot of scary, tension-filled moments.
Mhm.
After this, yeah, there's a kill here and there, but most of the rest of the film is kind of sweet in like a really dark way.
It's a very darkly romantic film. I feel like the Goth Iranians will just live for this because it gives reverse Twilight.
You know, this is better than Twilight, like 100%. This is like, honestly, this is like if Let the Right One In was a romance. Even though it kind of is a romance.
Oh, you're right.
I don't know.
You're right.
This gives me more like coming of age film, where Let the Right One In is more horror movie.
And I can see the horror elements of it. There's obviously horror elements.
Yeah,
of it.
for sure. But I think the coming of age romance is a little more heavy, especially towards the end. And which I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and honestly, with all of our films being very almost strictly horror with a bit of different genres like sprinkled in there, it's good to see how. So, I think I said this way back when we first started the podcast. I like when horror kind of like is the backdrop for other genres to kind of bubble up to the surface and kind of pop out, like in the same way in science fiction. And I feel like this movie is a great example of that, because at its core, it's a goth romance film with, drama elements. It's a indie spaghetti western horror genre. It's a genre bending kind of film because it just is. It doesn't try to be one thing or another. It just is. And I think that's the best part about this film, that it doesn't try to be anything else other than what it is.
Oh yeah, no, the goths are going to love this movie. Like...
And you can go into other aspects pull other lessons from this film about, what it means to be family, trying to find that someone that found family, especially after Hossein dies. That's almost like a whole nother shift in Arash's character. You can tell that he feels like he's static.
I think that was his chain being broken. I think every character in this movie has something holding them to this city.
And the girl is just the catalyst for that chain being broken.
She also is being held in the city. If it wasn't for Arash asking her to come with her, she didn't fucking hesitate. She hesitated when he said he wanted to be with her, but she knew that being with him in this city was a bad idea. But now that he's offering to leave with her, she didn't even fucking hesitate. She just said, yeah, let's go. Let's go have a life together outside of the city. Everyone, including the vampire, has something holding them to this fucked up city. Whether it's Arash's dad, whether it's Arash and his dad, whether it's Arash's dad with the drugs, the douchebag asshole making money, his profit.
With Ati being sad, being the only person who's been expressed to leave, who's shown expressed interest in leaving, and not only like anything she says, she didn't say anything about leaving, but you can tell through what the girl says. On top of what the girl says, the map that was in her room, you can tell that she was wanting to leave almost like the most out of everyone there, because of the fact that Saeed was like, oh, you're 30? Getting old. And that whole thing about women's youth running out at the age of 30 is bullshit. And I'm glad that now you can tell that there's a little bit of hope. There's a little bit of hope in these characters now, even if it's not shown in the best way or in the best light. You can tell that there's a spark in ambiguous.
Them now. What I like about it is because it's ambiguous, it's real life. Like, you can sit there and have an opportunity basically hand it to you and still fuck it up. Or you could have absolutely no opportunity whatsoever and make something out of it. You never know. And I like that about this film, is if you want to think Ati got out of there and had the best life, she could ever have,
so be it.
So be it. If you want to be that nihilistic person that's like, money doesn't guarantee a happy life and she's probably still stuck in Bad City, you could be that nihilist, I like that there is no guaranteed answer. I like the fact that Arash and the girl, the vampire, just drive off into the dark.
I also like the fact that there's no... It kind of gives, like, no... Have you seen Pacific Rim?
Unfortunately, yes. I love Guillermo del Toro, and I love kaiju movies, but
I like Pacific Rim.
It's so bad. Even Guillermo del Toro is like, yeah, I wanted to make a movie that's so unrealistic and could never happen, and just go balls to the wall with it. I'm like, you go, Guillermo. It's not my movie, but you go. Well, I love Godzilla movies, but goddamn, this movie was little.
Well, the reason I bring that up is because I like the dynamic between the two leads. How that, even though you can tell that there was some form of like romantic tension building, they never crossed that line. And I like the fact that that line was never crossed in this film either. It's like a lot of their romance is very visual, very subtle. They look at each other. He gave her those earrings. He pierced her ears.
She never took the earrings off after he gave it to her.
And never took the earrings off. They just...
Nothing sexualized. Yeah, and nothing. You never see them embrace each other other than like a sweet moment of her resting her head on his chest. You never see them kiss. You never see them, have sex. It's just love. It's actual love in its purest form, which I agree with you. I do like that.
Yeah. So I think that's where I think the film performs at its best. And despite the fact that I do feel like there was some times where you get lost in it, I think it works in its benefit to where you get lost in it, because you just get lost in the world and then something happens and it just springs you back into like, oh, there's things happening. And my mind kind of wandered a little bit. Kind of makes me wonder, is like, what is outside of these walls? What are the lives of other people around here? And you have, obviously there's like a drug problem in here, and
a violence problem. A whole fucking ditch full of dead bodies that everyone just finds normal.
And it makes you wonder, is like, was it all because of her? Was it all because of just everything going around town? You never really know, and the questions are never really asked, and nothing's ever really answered. And I think leaving it in that shape is just kind of uprooting yourself, especially after a traumatic moment, as seeing your father just lay dead, presumably from drugs, the drugs that you presumably gave him on his last moments. You're just like, yeah, no, fuck you, get out this house. That can cause a good bit of guilt, because it's like, damn, did I kill him? Was it me? But shouldn't I give him that drugs? It's like, have that thought process go in your head, and just seeing all of that, all of those nuances, and seeing how the film ends, it leaves you wondering, could there be a sequel? Could there be
No, if there's a sequel, that would ruin this movie.
Or any kind of like additional material to maybe tie up the loose ends. Or maybe that the loose ends are just, they're just the seams are just there to expose.
Yeah, I think any like tie-ins or anything, I think any continuation of the story would ruin what this is. Like, the reason it being ambiguous is the whole reasoning behind it. It's got it. I love the fact that this is ambiguous. What was you said you had 2 favorite scenes. What was your second favorite?
It was the scene with Ati, and whenever you see like the last little bits of horror appear about to save Ati. And it kind of makes you wonder if the cat was, you can say it, the link between Arash and everyone around her and the girl. maybe maybe it was just like coincidental.
I can see that in the editing, but I hate thinking that. Like, to me, if that is the case, it kind of ruins a little bit of like the connection between her and Arash.
I don't really see that because like it didn't really see it kind of until the end.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a cute little connection between that little kitty.
The cat is adorable, and I love that they credited the cat.
Right, but the cat
the cat's part of the cast, and I love that.
The cat's one of the best actors in the film. And I think one last... Oh, okay, let me finish my favorite scene. Yeah, that scene, and then another scene featuring the dad was the mirroring scene. I thought that was like a cute little scene just to, kind of break the tension and just add on to like the horror-esque feel of it. But
you mean when he was coming down?
No, when he was talking to Ati. Because that was
a mirroring scene.
Whenever... Was that the same person? Or was that someone else? Whenever like old dude was talking to Ati, was like, hey, come get money. Then you talk to me. That was that dude.
Oh, yeah.
And I could have sworn that was the father.
That was the father.
And
I got you. You went from one scene to another scene, but it was still the same two characters. Yeah. So I thought we were still on one scene. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I got you now, though.
But it was like that scene where every move that he did, she did. And I just thought that was funny. I like that part.
Yeah, because, the death was pretty cool of the dad, because basically he's kicked out. Arash kicks him out because he's tired of it. He's been trying to get his dad off drugs, and his dad is like a good couple of days of rehab before he just breaks. He starts claiming that the cat has the mom's eyes, that she's judging him, starts breaking things, and
I mean, that's not rehab. Those are just plain old fucking withdrawals, and he had them bitches bad.
And this is coming off
very bad.
The morning right after Arash proclaimed his, like, basically announced his love towards the girl, and she says, no, we can't do this, and leaves him. So he's not having a good time, and his dad starts breaking shit, blaming his mom and stuff like that, and Arash is like, you know what, take the money, take the drugs, get out of the house,
take the cat,
I'm done, take the cat, I'm done, leave. And the dad goes to Ati and pays her money for sexual favors,
and then takes it too far. Like,
oh my god, takes it way too far.
Tries to basically drug her.
He ties her up. He takes her belt off and bounds her hands together, and then injects the drug into her.
That I didn't know where the scene was going, and I was like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like whenever you see most like very like SA scenes, and you just like feel it, that feel like it's about to happen. And while I'm glad it didn't happen, it still sucked because like she just passed out, and he just passed out with her, and I was like, oh, that didn't go the way I was expecting. It sucks still, but it didn't go that route. And then death. But
the girl shows up and kills him, which hooray, but also poor Ati.
All in all, wow, this is like I guess a collab between America and Iran, considering like half the cast are either American born or like very international. It just feels like a very homegrown film, and I feel like if there was like a Hollywood remake of it, it would not fly. It would not work at all.
Hollywood would butcher this.
Hollywood would definitely butcher this, and I feel like
Hollywood would make this into Twilight.
They would market it like Twilight. I feel like they would have marketed it like Twilight, because like looking at the poster, I wasn't expecting this. Reading the title, I wasn't expecting this. And I think I liked it because it worked. It showed just enough of what was going on without any kind of expectation. It's like, oh, just a girl walking home alone at night. I wonder why. And then you see the poster, and it's just like almost like a gruesome like nun image. It's almost like a nun. You think, oh, maybe it's a horror movie about a nun, but it just goes beyond that and just makes a compelling story. As loose as some of the little tidbits are, it takes that little loose story and just runs with it and runs with it well. And I think it works in his favor.
Oh yeah.
So
my two favorite scenes. So my first favorite scene, obvious, is the first death. The first death and the first time we're introduced to the vampire girl. Oh, I love it so much because I hate that douchebag. I mean douchebag. Tracksuit wearing, tattoos on their face with sex tattooed on his neck. Just douchebag. Mean to Ati, douchebag. Fuck him. But fucking vampire girl shows up and he's like, okay, let's go back to my place. Goes back to the place. He turns on this god-awful disco music, snorts some cocaine, smoking a cigarette, goes over, turns up the music a little bit louder, and then starts lifting dumbbells in front of her, like, yeah, you like this? As he's got, like, his tracksuit, like, halfway unzipped, and it's like, dude, God, I hope you die. I even told Jay, I was like, I hope he gets the most gruesome death. I really hope it's good. It is okay. It's pretty good. But, it's this long tracking take, and other than the music and like the subtle sounds of him like tapping the razor on the table so he can break up the cocaine, you follow him doing certain little things while she just stands in the background looking ominous. She finally moves, and the tension is broken only by the subtle, sharp sound of her fucking with a cymbal on a drum set that he has, because of course he has a drum set. He goes over there, and he tries to do the little finger thing on the lips that he did to Ati, and I was like, ooh, bite his fucking finger off. Bite his fucking finger off. What does she do? She bites his fucking finger off. Bites his finger off, and then proceeds to just suck him dry of blood. And I was so happy. I was like, yes, fuck him.
Honestly, I feel like if it wasn't for the fact that she bit his finger off, I'm pretty sure that he would have just took the fangs and would have thought she was in a blood play or some shit. So I'm glad that he was kind of dead. So I like that. That was a good scene. It was
a very good scene.
And it kind of sets the tone.
Yeah, it sets the tone for the first half, because you get this like ominous undertone throughout the entire movie, or throughout the entire beginning, until she shows up. Once she shows up, you're like, okay, yeah, this is a horror movie. And that's when like her and Arash have that cute little like, oh, hey, yeah, I know I got blood all over my face, and you see me walking out with like a bunch of jewelry and CDs and stuff, but bye. And walks away. And then Arash goes in, takes the money and his car back and all that good shit.
And in the end, when they leave, he looks ominously at the girl as she grabs her belongings, which includes all of the things that she has taken from Oh Boy.
Yeah, I was going to get into that. That's my second favorite scene.
Oh, go ahead then.
Second favorite scene is literally the ending. I love this ending so much. It is so good. So basically, as we said, Arash's dad is dead, and he finds him dead. And that's pretty much, I feel like that he's done. He has nothing else holding him to the city. So
that's the breaking point.
Why stay here anymore? The only thing that's holding him here is the fact that he loves her. And she wakes up, which she keeps having this dream of him walking towards the darkness, but being cast, like the shadow of light being cast behind him.
Imagine nothing but a simple silhouette, and seeing this figure, this male figure, just in the very, very center of the frame, just sitting there.
And
menacingly.
But she keeps having this dream.
SpongeBob joke.
Fuck your SpongeBob joke. Keeps having this dream about him. And she wakes up at night, of course, and finds him asleep in front of the door. And she's basically like, what the fuck? He gets up and he just walks in. Like, not even saying anything, just walks in, and she's like, okay, whatever. Shuts the door. Still wearing the earrings, which I was like, oh my god, that is adorable. Oh, she's still wearing the earrings. That is so cute and precious. Because at this point, they had the moment at the power plant where he kind of like tries to tell her that he loves her or really, really cares for her, and goes for a kiss, and she's like, we can't do this. Like, this just isn't gonna work, and walks away. So even after that, he still shows up and is like, I'm leaving, and I want you to come with me. I know you said you've done some bad things. I don't care. I want you to come with me. And she says, okay. Actually, she says nothing. She just starts packing her bag. And to me, that is like one of the sweetest moments ever. But that sweet moment is then undercut by the cat walking in. So the dad, when Arash kicked his dad out, the dad took the cat. He took the cat to Ati's place. After the girl killed the dad, Ati was like, you need to leave, get out of here, and take the cat with you. I don't want it. Just, you need to go. So she takes the cat. At that point, Arash knows something happened. He'll never know exactly what happens unless she tells him. But she knows that at some point, she and his dad contacted one another. That's the only way she would have gotten the cat. Then that's when he looks over and he sees all the jewelry and everything that she starts pouring into the bag. Because, of course, they're going to need money wherever they go. And they get in the car and they start driving away. Quiet, somber, nothing. All you hear is the sound of the road as they're driving at night. And he pulls over off to the ditch. Not off into the ditch, but like off to the side. And he gets out, leaving her in the car by herself. And you don't know exactly what he's thinking, but he just has a moment where he has to think. He has to think exactly what's going on. Did she kill my dad? If so, should I be angry? But I mean, like, the whole reason he's dead is the reason I'm leaving the city, which the city is nothing but a cancer to me. It holds everyone down. And he just sits there and he thinks for a moment. And he gets back in with absolutely no words said whatsoever. And she, at this moment, still has a blank expression on her face, but I kind of feel like she's scared. What if he opens the door and tells me to get out? What if he's done with me? What if, this really isn't going to work out? And again, with no words being said, he takes that cassette tape out, puts it in, hits play, and it's one of her songs. And they look at each other, and this is the first time she actually smiles. And they drive off to the sunset. Well, not even the sunset, the night set. They drive off into the dark. And it's so sweet with no dialogue. Like, I don't think there was any dialogue at the point where the cat walks in. And you get all that visual storytelling. It's just, mwah. Oh, it is so good.
It just works out so well. And I think the last thing I want to talk about for like a little bit is it feels like a rockabilly kind of flavor too when you think about it. It kind of adds on to the whole spaghetti western feel of it, because you can tell that Arash either has that inspiration to get that kind of like that greaser look, because that's the way that he looks throughout most of the film. Is almost like a greaser from The Outsiders. Mm. And on top of that, in the car, which obviously looks like it's from the 1970s or so, but looks
50s.
1950s, but brand new. You can. They had cassettes? No, did they have cassettes back in the 50s? I can't remember. But
No, they didn't have cassettes back in the 50s, but from the white walls on the tire to the paint to the design of the car, it's probably a modern vehicle just designed to look like a 50s vehicle. Because it even had leather seats and like the big steering wheel. So his character is designed 50s.
Yeah, it just feels like just against the backdrop of horror, gives spaghetti western, rockabilly, just kind of a very it's just a very vintage feel too. It feels like it's vintage at the same time as modern.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that works, but that's the one thing that I've noticed the most.
It feels timeless, really. Because the girl gives off this kind of like 80s like punk vibe, in my opinion, where he gives off a 50s greaser. The fucking douchebag looks like he's straight from the 80s. You know, never left the tracksuit wearing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe hell, I would say even like early 2000s, really.
With the resurgence,
yeah,
cocaine and all.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems timeless because it seems old school but modern. It seems young yet old. It I don't know. It's cool.
Yeah, because
like you could put this in any time frame. I feel like really,
and it works because it doesn't really give up any kind of time to where. Well, the only thing you can probably say is because of the big flat screen TV in Saeed's room.
And she does bring up Lionel Richie at one point, and the posters and stuff. So you know it's either at that time or a little before it. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. Just the overall vibe gives timeless.
Vibe gives timeless. Even though you can probably say it takes at modern times, but I feel like Iranian times. Modern are slightly different from American or just before, so it just works. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
No, this film was so different than what I was expecting, and I'm kind of glad it is. It's a good change of pace. So much better. I was expecting this to be okay at best. Like I've heard praise about this. I've heard it's a very, 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 very good movie. But I didn't know what to expect. I knew it was a horror movie, and that's it. So I'm expecting, a girl walks home alone at night. Okay, is this going to be like stalker movie, slasher movie? I've heard vampires, so what? A vampire stalks, a girl as she walks home. No, I'm thinking traditional horror. Mm-hmm. I'm not thinking that I'm going to fall in love with these two characters and find them to have the sweetest romantic storyline that I probably have seen in the last couple of years.
It makes you think outside of yourself. Makes you think outside of what the modern take of what horror is. And I said it already. It just kind of gives weight to other genres against the backdrop of horror. So I overall think it's a good job. Jolly good show, as they say.
Good shit.
Good soup. Final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I think I love this movie. I really think I love this movie. Yeah, it's hard for me to like pinpoint a single final thought for this movie. It's adorable. I love the romance between Arash and the girl. It's so sweet, and they're so precious together. I love the visual storytelling. I like the fact that a lot of the emotions you get across is through physical acting. Like, just, again, the end of the movie ends with her smiling. That's it. I mean, that's it. When you can end a movie by something as simple as the first smile practically being cracked in the entire movie, it's so good. The sound design, the editing, the directing, the writing, the acting, the visual, the cinematography. This movie's good, man. I was shocked that this movie is as good as it is. I really like this motherfucker.
I do too. My final thoughts are, it's a good surprise. I think the only detriment I may have to it is mostly on me and how my mind likes to wander. So I don't think it's the film's fault. That's just me, and also me kind of being sick too.
Or is it
That
like too much of a slow burn or
it was
something?
too much. I think right now, I feel like I'm gonna appreciate this film way later.
Yeah.
I'm gonna rate it way higher later. But
Yeah,
it's very slow burn, and I think due to my inebriated state, due to my like less than 100% right now, is a little bit too much of a slow burn. But the slow burn paid off. It was a good payoff for the slow burn. But I'm still going to possibly just rate it 3.5.
Really? Wow.
I think that's been my average. It's
Yeah.
been 3.5. Honestly, fuck it. I'm gonna give it a 4.
4?
I'm gonna give it a solid 4. That's my final answer.
My final answer is this is a 5. I loved this. I really loved it. This is filmmaking, man.
This is cinema, y'all.
This is, well, I wouldn't say cinema.
I think this is cinema.
When I don't know, like I'm a little different. When I think cinema, I think like you go to the movie theaters and watch it. I don't think this is like you have to go to the movie theaters to watch this and get the full experience. That's what
I get that.
That's what I think of when I think cinema. I know
that.
I'm different than a lot of people, but when I think cinema, I'm thinking of an event style movie. You know, you go to the theaters to get the full experience of this movie.
I don't think this is a blockbuster by any means, but I do feel like
this is fucking art.
This is art, and everybody I feel like needs to expose themselves to more art house films or to more art house films, because like I said before, despite the fact that technically this is an American film, it doesn't feel American at all.
Yeah, I'm not saying this is American. I refuse to accept that. It's not.
It does.
This was an American film. It would be worse.
But the only reason why I call it American is because of the fact that most of the cast and the director and writer is American.
Okay, that doesn't mean it's American film.
It doesn't have to, but you can't deny that there's a little bit of that outside, like that American influence that this has in this film.
Well, yeah, I mean, but Iran has a lot of American influence as far as like pop culture goes.
Yeah. A lot of it's in bad ways.
Well, yeah, it's not in good ways, but I'm just like, that's just the thing. Like, American pop culture is kind of like all over the world.
Yeah,
please don't accept our policies.
Right.
Just don't follow us on that agenda.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cough right into the mic. Jesus. But overall, people just need to expose themselves to more, like, as director Bong Joon-ho has said one time as he was accepting a Oscar for his film Parasite, which is a Korean film. He said, once you get past the 1 centimeter long text that is subtitles, your mind will be expanded to watch more foreign films.
Oh yeah, no, dude.
By far.
Yeah, honestly, like, I give foreign film, like, there's a couple that aren't like that great, but I give more 5-star reviews to foreign films than I do American films.
I think it's because we are so used to just how American cinema is that we forget that cinema technically is a French invention. Technically, but
I mean, but that's not where I'm getting at whatsoever.
Okay, I guess I was getting at that because cinema is very international, and people don't really see how international cinema actually is, how film actually is as an art form internationally as compared to just domestically.
Well,
domestically meaning America.
Take it from someone who works with a lot of blue collar average Joe guys, as far as like co-workers and people that come in to buy stuff. It's because Americans are lazy and they don't want to fucking read. I've heard that argument multitudes of times when it comes to anime. I have told someone that, because I have a coworker that likes horror movies like I do, and I literally was telling them that the Wailing is one of the best horror movies ever made. and you have to check it out. And they're like, oh yeah, I'll definitely have to check it out. The next day came over and was like, dude, you didn't tell me it was in Korean. I can't watch that. Well, why the fuck not? I'm not gonna read a movie. You fucking lazy bastard.
I guess he's not gonna watch Ju-on then either.
No.
Pitiful.
Pitiful.
Pitiful. But yeah, those are my final thoughts.
Yeah,
and my rating.
This movie's good. Check this movie out. Support it. Love it. It's great. It's better than Twilight.
We watched it on Tubi, so it's free with ads.
It's free with ads.
And if you take out the, the breaks, I'll say kind of the mental breaks and everything because of the ads, this is a good film to watch. Plus, especially for free, y'all, it's Tubi. It's free.
Yeah.
Hop on that shit.
That's bad. I feel like, because I do want to force my fiance to watch this, but I know because of their ADHD, they're going to hate this so much. And because it's an art house film, they're going to hate this so much.
At least there's no decapitations.
They would love that.
I'm pretty sure that they didn't like any of the decapitations in any of the A24 films that we watched.
They don't like A24 because those are art house films. They're literally watching Demon Slayer in the other fucking room where there are decapitations every other scene.
You're right.
They don't care. They want campy. Okay, for example, next week we are doing Jennifer's Body, which is...
Diablo Cody.
It's not Diablo. She wrote it.
Wait, I thought she directed it.
No, Diablo Cody wrote it. It's directed by Karen Kusama.
Really?
Yes, I thought you'd...
No, I only knew that it was a Diablo Cody film. That's all I knew.
Written by Diablo Cody.
That's the only frame of reference that I have for Jennifer's Body. Is that it was like...
Get face-palmed!
That Diablo Cody...
No, this is my fiance's favorite movie, so I have to know everything about it.
See... Diablo Cody deserves way more than she does. Like,
Jennifer's Body deserves more respect than it does.
Maybe
I was one of those people that shat all over this because it was marketed as a sexy good time movie, and I was like, I don't know, 12, 13 when this movie came out, and I was like, oh yeah, Megan Fox, sexy good time movie? Hell yeah, this movie's gonna be awesome. It's not what I got, and therefore I thought it was garbage. So they marketed it poorly on this movie, and I was a stupid, horny little child.
Your words, not mine.
I was a stupid, horny little child. If you can watch Jennifer's Body and not like it, then the only reason is because you're stupid and horny.
God damn it. Anyway, now that you know what we're going to watch next week...
and I'm going to try and force my fiance to be our special guest. Woo!
Yes, it's going to be fun. Because somebody has yet to have... What? No, we're even. Because you got your brother on as a guest.
Oh, yeah.
A brother and his girlfriend, who I like very much. What? She's cool.
She's cool. Hunter, Stop laughing. You're going to die.
Let's end this before I die for real.
Anyway, so join us next week as we're going to be watching Jennifer's Body. This has been A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. Please, for the love of God, check it out. What you should also check out is all of our episodes. We got them here on YouTube. We also got them on Spotify, Apple. There's a whole freaking playlist. There's a playlist of parking lot reviews where me and Jay discuss brand new stuff coming out. It's awesome. We're all over the place. We even got the social medias.
We're on everything, including Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, who, I run almost half of those. And
let's just go ahead and say all of those.
Oh my God.
No, we're going to say all of those. I think I do a piss poor job on Letterboxd, and that's about it.
So, of course, I can do better on promotion, but social media stuff is hard. But anyway... We're also on everything. Only thing we're not on is TikTok. I'm still trying to figure out how we're going to do that. But I say ring that bell, of course.
Yeah, subscribe, ring the bell, like you said.
Please comment and tell us what you think and give us some interactions because I love trying to react to other people's comments and just actually comment on stuff. And have it to where it's just, not randos. So I want some regulars. Like, come on, give us some regulars.
I'm okay with randos. I'll take the randos. You can take the regulars.
Okay.
I'll take the randos. I'm more of a slut that way.
And of course, if you're listening on Spotify, also if you're listening on anywhere, I think now you can rate podcasts now on Spotify. So give us a high rating or be honest with how you rate us. Please, if you give us like a 2, actually a 3 or below, please let us know why. We like feedback. Well, I mean me, because I've been doing this for almost like 6 months now, and I'm still trying to get over my impending gay voice. And now that I'm also sick, I got gay voice on top of sick voice, and yeah.
There is nothing wrong with your gay voice, and if someone gives us a 2 stars for simply because he has gay voice, I will punch you down.
I feel like someone's gonna do it just for the lols,
I will shove those lols up your ass.
Oh my god! But until then, it's been Jay. Cough, cough. Oh god, that hurt.
And I've been Heath.
And this has been Hostel Horrors.
See you next week, guys.
Oh.